Right, let's get going. As we went to air on our last show, the shocking news of the death of drummer Lee Rigby was just breaking. Since then, there has been a huge nationwide response to the killing, including a reported five-fold rise in alleged anti-Muslim hate crimes. The EDL, the English Defence League, held its first and biggest protest march just down the road from where we are today. Tina, tell us what the response to this has been like on the social media channels. Yeah,
the debate sparked by the EDL marches was the biggest ever on Free Speech's Facebook and Twitter pages. Our memorial page, RIP Woolwich Soldier, has attracted almost 1.5 million hits. I went to Woolwich to find out more. There are hundreds of bouquets of flowers, messages, flags. R.I.P. Lee, such a waste of a life. Our thoughts are with your son and family. The football shirts here as well. With love from Charlton. Just the sheer volume of tributes show how much this has affected people in the local community. How did you feel about what happened?
Shocked. It's shocked because I don't think any place but Woolwich. I know there's a lot of crime around. Yeah, crime. I don't think Woolwich.
Nothing like that. I just can't believe that it actually happened, although you can see it there in front of your eyes.
I've showed my respects on Facebook. I've written a few statuses like rest in peace.
Do you think what's happened, people's views have been affected because of Facebook and Twitter?
Yeah, I do think, people's comments can influence others.
What's the atmosphere like here now?
We walked down here, it was completely empty. It was like the tumbleweed was going past.
I used to see different races come together in Woolwich, and now it just seems like everyone is minding their own business.
Interesting piece, Tina. Thank you very much. Now, we're not going to talk about the actual killing of Lee Rigby or those who have been arrested, as there are legal proceedings going on. We're going to focus on the wider issues of racism and Islamophobia in this country. Nicola has a question. Where's Nicola? What do you want to ask, Nicola?
Is Britain becoming more racist?
OK, so the question is Britain becoming more racist? This debate is going to be quick, we hope. We want to keep this moving. So we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock and just give us a taste of what you think about this, Akala, starting now.
I think the question is an oversimplification of a problem. I think that we have to deal with the reasons why racism exists. There are real political and economic privileges derived from being the correct race. We have to put things in their correct history and realise that there's been reams of scholarship showing, still to this very day, if you are non-white in this country, you're far more likely to be arrested, to die suspiciously in police custody, for your children to be expelled from school, even when we allow for socio-economic factors, etc., etc., etc. Yet when we deal with racism, rather than dealing with the fact that it is a central part of British political culture, we focus on some fringe bogeyman, and that is indeed part of the problem.
So, big issues. You went slightly over your time, but you're in your flow. Stephen?
I don't think it actually is rising as fast as people think it is. When my grandmother, who was Irish, my grandfather, who was black, came to the United Kingdom, we had signs that said no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. That circumstance doesn't occur today in the United Kingdom. When I was a young boy, I suffered a form of racism. I make a joke about it now that I'm more like Michael Jackson and that I'm naturally fading. I wish I wasn't. But when I look at my 7-week-old daughter, I can see the wonderful colour that she has. And we're accepted because our friends, the very nature of this panel here, the very way that we have this audience shows that we're accepting people of different races, colours and creeds in this country. But what we are seeing over the past few weeks is the division that's caused by many of the reasons that you've identified, which are the socio-economic problems that many groups in our society have, be they white or Asian, be they black or otherwise. And unless we're going to address those socio-economic problems, we'll not be able to deal with the underlying reason that people get drawn to parties and groups that think racism is the answer.
OK, take a couple of quick responses from the audience. Anyone got anything to say about what they've heard from Stephen? Yes.
My name's Daniel Johnson. I'm from Islamic Diversity Centre in Newcastle. I'm a Muslim and I'm horrified to see Islamophobia in particular, as well as other kinds of racism, rising in recent years. One cause of that is foolish people like Anjum Chowdhury and his cronies, and another is people like Tommy Robinson and his cronies. Do the panel think it would be a good idea to take Tommy Robinson and Anjum Chowdhury and put them on some kind of island and bomb it with anthrax?
OK, that's quite strongly put, but I think I get the idea. Do we need to clamp down on people who we perceive to be extremists? This lady in the front row.
My personal opinion is that we're not getting more racist because after studying of mice and men in school in the 1930s, a black person was put in a stable on his own, whereas that wouldn't happen today. That's illegal today. So no, we're not getting more racist.
Yeah, Carly, you want to respond to that?
But we're not totally honest about the reasons why these things have changed. If we're dealing with the United States of America, black people had to shed their blood in the streets to be recognised legally as human beings. So it wasn't because people had all of a sudden had a grand awakening. It was because of very real political campaigning. Does that make sense? So I think this more or less barometer is too simple. We have to deal with the fact that the mythology of innate white superiority was a core part of the development of British, of American and of other European countries' political culture. I'm not saying that to be horrible. The scholarship is there, it exists, and it's a provable fact in the history.
If you agree or disagree with anything that's being said here, just let Tina know. Tina, what are people saying online at the moment?
It's a very divisive topic. Lots of messages coming in live. When I was in Woolwich, lots of people talked about social media, how that's affected their responses. That's what's coming out online as well. Chris says social media is just as anti-white, pro-Muslim as it is the other way around. There are clowns on each side of the fence, so racist on both sides, an equal number of them. And Adam says everyone just needs to calm down. Things could start by pages or groups being suspended on Facebook, etc. So the responsibility being put in the hands of the social media companies. One more from Neil, who says the problem is not becoming more racist. The racist feelings exist. It only takes certain instances to bring them out.
OK. What's your take on this issue, Grania?
I kind of think at the moment, because of the current economic climate, just a lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are really hurting from the cuts. A lot of people are looking for somebody to blame. And like big things like capitalism or the banks, they're kind of like very vague things. They're not, it's much easier to blame the person down the road who, you know, wears different clothes than you or eats different food. And I think a lot of parties at the moment are exploiting the anger and frustration that a lot of working class people have. And I think they're exacerbating the problem. And I think that's what we're seeing at the moment. Just like working class, vulnerable people being pitted against each other and looking for somebody even lower down, more vulnerable than them, to blame for things that are happening in their life.
What about you, Sarah? What have your experiences told you about the problem of racism?
I think we all agree that, you know, I was brought up in the 1970s and my parents came to this country in 1965. They were the first kind of, you know, mass immigration to this country. I grew up with watching people take the mickey out of black people, out of Irish people, out of people like myself, on television programmes broadcast on the BBC. Programmes like Mind Your Language, Love Thy Neighbour. We have moved away from that. We are, in this country, 20, 30 years advance of what Europe is doing in terms of race relations. So I think the kind of obvious racist kind of things that we used to see in the 70s, that's gone. But what's more dangerous is that we are now looking at subtle forms of racism. We are looking at institutionalised racism, where, you know, people are in this country, some people are scared to put down, my name is Mohammed Khan, in case they are discriminated against. We can see, you know, institutionalised racism in economic policies like housing, in education, and that's what we need to address. It's not so obvious, but it is very subtle. I will say this one thing. It's very obvious. Racism it spreads because of ignorance. And I believe in this country, multiculturalism was great for the 60s, for the 70s, for the 80s. We have to move away from cultures in this country being allowed to just get on with it and actually just say, you know, we do our own thing. We need to talk about integration. I was brought up on a completely white council estate. I am the person that I am because of the people that lived on that estate. We did not suffer a lot of abuse and racism, and that's because we used to invite people to our house. They used to say to us, why does your mum pray 5 times a day? We told them. I used to go around to their house and say, you know, your mate's pregnant at 16, what do you think about that? You need to have these discussions. It works on both sides. I'm not saying this is white against black or black against white or whatever you want to call it, but there is a lot of ignorance in this country. Can I just give you one example? I've got mates of mine who go to the same curry house for the last 10 years. Okay, it's a Bangladeshi curry house in London. And I said to my mate once, do you know how to say hello in Bengali? They're like, no. I said, well, You've been coming here, enjoying the food. We live in a multicultural Britain and you don't know how to say hello. Once he knew how to say hello, okay, he was getting free poppadoms every week. And it's just that breakdown. It just shows somebody cares about where I come from. It just takes that one little bit of, you know, I care, and I've actually researched or done some homework into where you come from.
Poppadoms are a great incentive. We've heard from everyone on the panel now, so Tina, you know what to do.
It's my time. It's instant judgment time for our panel. So this is where we find out what people at home think of what you've said so far. This is the live reaction to your responses on racism. Let's fire up the power bar. And Akala, most people at home and online agreeing with you so far. You're in the lead.
Can all change. Can all change. So, the English Defence League has been organising protests around the country in recent weeks. The first was here in the northeast. Police estimated that around 1,500 took part. Protesters were heard shouting, "Whose streets? Our streets." Tommy Robinson, leader of the EDL. You can assert until you're blue in the face that these are peaceful protests, but your supporters were heard shouting racist abuse. How do you explain that?
What racist abuse? You know,
I can't say it
we've just been talking
now
about racism.
At this time on television.
We've been talking about racism. I'm from Luton Town. You're talking about racism, OK? There is no racial tensions in the town I come from. When David Cameron says multiculturalism has failed, Sikhism, Hinduism, Jews, they haven't failed to integrate into society. Islam has failed. When we talk against an ideology, if I'm against Scientology, are you going to call me a racist? I oppose the Islamist ideology. That does not make us racist. You can't talk about what we said that was racist because there was nothing said that was racist at the demonstration.
But we've read the quotes in the press.
Yeah, in the press. When you talk about the press, you just said 1,500 people were there. There were 7,000 people there. So you've got a biased press that are misreporting.
So more people chanting.
More people chanting. More people at the demonstration. But what is the press's agenda to play that down? And when we talk about Islamophobia, there is Islamophobia, of course there is. There is Islamophobia because our police force actually were too scared to tackle grooming and rape of our youth because of fear of being called a racist. That's Islamophobia, not the Islamophobia. Phobia is an irrational fear, OK? It's quite rational to fear female genital mutilation of 2,000 British Muslim girls every year, terrorism like happened to Lee Rigby. Like 2 days ago, 6 Muslims who were sentenced to 19, 20 years each because they were planning to blow up the English Defence League due to the blasphemy law within the Quran. Okay, there's a link to all these things. The same with the Muslim grooming gangs. As a common denominator, you have to look for what the issue is, what links them all. They're all Muslim.
I get confused when you say Islam, and then you say Islamist, and then you say Muslim, because they're different things.
They are. I'm from Luton Town.
I'm going to talk to...
Yeah, I'm from Luton Town. I know so many Muslims, yeah, and I'm sitting here. If you take these people's careers away and their money away, they won't be sitting there. I'm a volunteer, okay? There's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer. What has happened to me through having this opinion and speaking out the way I do, it's destroyed my life, it's destroyed my wife's life, it's destroyed my mother's life. I live with constant death threats. I've got some of them here if you want to read when we talk about a two-tier policing system. I have to wear a bulletproof vest. I've got people wanting to murder me and massacre me.
Well, then stop being a racist and a bigot.
Racist? Can you please explain one thing I've ever said?
I am a British citizen. I was born in this country, and I do not spout off rubbish like you do. Okay?
No, what am I saying that's rubbish?
I haven't got death threats. Do you know why? It's because I'm a nice person.
Please explain.
I want harmony in this
if you talk against Islam, you'll have death threats. Please explain what I've said that's racist. Please explain.
What you've done is...
No, please explain what I've said that's racist.
I'll tell you what's racist.
No, she's called me a racist.
Okay, well...
Please explain. Please explain.
Granny will pick it up.
So you're not going to explain.
What you've done is you've taken a community with, hundreds of thousands of members...
Billions of people.
And you've picked like a tiny minority, and you've said they're all like that. I think that's the slightly racist part.
What's racist? What race is Islam?
Against all Muslims.
No, I'm not against all Muslims.
Yes,
I got married last year. I had 4 Muslims at my wedding.
I
had 4 Muslims at my wedding.
Admit your true colours.
Excuse me. You think that just because you want to call us racist or extremists or far right, what have I said that's racist?
I heard you on Radio 4 the other day saying that you are a peaceful movement, okay, and you are not against violence.
You still haven't explained what I said that was racist.
Have you actually looked at your own personal
You still haven't explained what I said about racism.
You've actually been convicted of thuggery,
what I've said
and you're a football hooligan. How can you come on to Radio 4 and say
Please explain what I said. Please explain what I've said that's racist.
listen.
You stood in the Newcastle...
I've just said it. You've just cited loads of things relating to Islam and talking about Islamists.
So there's not a problem in this country. There's not a problem in this country.
Muslim people killed by white people.
There's not a problem in this country.
You know, you can spark
There's not a problem in this country of
Why are you
Islam.
focusing on certain incidents?
No, what you're doing is, rather than listening to the point, you just want to shout racist, which is what's happening in this country for 15, 20 years.
Because you are.
No, what have I said? What have I said that's racist?
Because you are.
Tommy,
you're so weak.
You are racist.
You've got
and
nothing
you
to
don't
back it up,
like
darling.
that, do you?
Tommy, let Akala
Like
speak.
it. You're getting
What
really
have I
heated
said that's
up.
racist?
You are a racist.
What have I said that's
bigot.
racist?
You're a racist.
What have I said?
Akala?
And you do not represent the views of the people in this country at all.
Sarah.
Nothing.
Akala?
You've got no substance to your argument. You're not even backing up. I have, yeah.
You've got loads of
I have. What happened to Lee Rigby? What happened on 7/7? All the Muslim grooming gangs. Everything I say is factual.
Let someone else speak for a minute, please,
and
Tommy.
Of course, Mr. Robinson, there are no paedophiles who are white, and white people have never bombed anyone else's country.
87% of grooming cases are Muslim, yet 5% of the country is Muslim.
You spoke. Yeah. Let me speak. Now, this is exactly the issue, is what I'm saying, right? As much as I agree with what's being said about this man and his organisation, right?
Can you back up,
we focus on fringe bigots rather than dealing with the real central issue that we have a political system. I can't count how many times I've read the Daily Mail or some other paper, not that I read these rags, and it says, Pakistani man does blah. When Jimmy Savile is convicted or something comes out about him, is his ethnicity or his religious beliefs put forward as the primary reason for him committing an offence? No. But we stoke the flames of this kind of bigotry, right? And then act shocked when it comes out.
No one's prepared to explain what I've said that's bigotry or racist.
One second. For those who don't know, Baghdad was the intellectual, cultural centre of mathematics and art and science about 1,000 years ago for quite a long time. No one blames Islam for that. So negative people who happen to be Muslim, yes, of course, it's your religion that causes it. But if you pioneer mathematics and science and introduce algebra into Europe and the guitar and coffees and lemons, that's not because you're Muslim.
Well, the people...
Okay. I'm going to get an opposing view from Dippu here for a minute. Dippu, you're a Newcastle councillor. You organised the counter-protest.
Yeah, Tommy, I've heard of double vision. I've never heard of triple vision before. There wasn't 7,000. There was about 1,500 EDL thugs in Newcastle on the 25th of May. Okay, no, you've had your you had 1,500. You've had your say. You've had your say. We had a peaceful protest, unlike you drunks. EDL drunks on the day we had a peaceful protest. We had 1,000. Tommy, you've said it, but we had 1,000 local people, but you had to get people shipped in. You had to get people shipped in from other places of the country, from the country to Newcastle demo and to have a party. But we had local people celebrating diversity which we thrive on.
I celebrate diversity.
Sorry,
I celebrate. If you see you
celebrate diversity, you're the biggest fascist
mixed race.
In this country.
I'm not fascist.
Yes, you are.
I'm not
You're
fascist
the biggest
because you say
fascist.
so.
You're an Islamophobe. You're an Islamophobe, and you hate Muslims.
I don't hate Muslims.
And you know what?
I don't hate Muslims.
Your EDL organisation is just a platform for your ego. That's basically it.
Can you tell me? When you say ego, do you think I enjoy being leader of the English Defence League?
You talk about
threats. Do you think I enjoy being leader of the English Defence League?
You talk about threats. You wrote a letter to the City Council against me saying I've got extremist links.
I didn't write a letter. No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
you said that. You wrote to Northumbria Police I've got extremist links.
No, I didn't.
Just show me. I've got the letter.
I wrote a letter
On top
in
of that, Tommy.
I didn't write a letter.
Tommy, calm. On top of that, your EDL folks have threatened me against my life and my family,
Really?
against me, against on your Twitter, on your Facebook. So have you condemned them?
Right.
Have you condemned them, Tommy?
Okay, let's take a bit from yours. This gentleman here, please.
I'm going to chop up your kids.
Thank you very much. I think regardless of Mr Robinson's views, I'm sure everyone in this audience can agree that we're delighted he took the opportunity to come today and show how unrepresentative and out of touch he is.
Yeah. I'm representative and out of touch for the audience that are here, but working class people back home will be sitting watching this, and when you all sit up, when you sit there, you're from Newcastle. When you sit there, and you're not, when you sit there.
But if you're a representative, why don't you stand? Why aren't you a political party? Why don't you get elected?
Because people who oppose extremist Islam vote for Labour, vote for Lib Dems, vote for Conservative, vote for UKIP, vote for BNP. It's a mixture of people. If you all want to pretend, what the problem is, you're all going to pretend there's not an issue in this country. There's a serious issue. Islam is not integrating, it's not assimilating. Wahhabi, Salafi sects of Islam, okay, they're spreading like a wildfire. What are you doing to combat them? What are you doing to combat gentality?
Hang on, we condemned...
Condemned is not good enough for me, mate.
We spoke against...
But when we come on the streets, you come out and you just say...
Let me finish, Tommy. We have condemned. We've been actively working in Newcastle in the North East, and we've got IDC behind us to do a fantastic job, actively working with different communities. What have you done to work with different communities? We are working and condemning... We are working and condemning extremism, if it's EDL or if it's the fascist or right-wing Muslim groups, we are condemning them.
What am I saying?
You two talk afterwards. I'm going to go to this lady here.
I was just saying, I think if you look at the country as a whole, because we're talking about whether the country is getting more racist, I don't think it is. But if you look at the cases where people are playing a role in the community, they're getting involved in society, then the vast majority of people don't care what race people are. If people are integrating and they're working together, then they cooperate. And is having protests in either direction helping anybody to promote that goal?
Well, yes, because when you're angry...
So we're going to widen this out now to the broader issue that Carla touched on. Where's Isabella? What did you want to say, Isabella?
I think that people are becoming racist because of their own social and economic problems. So they're just pointed, you know, as you were saying earlier, they're just choosing someone to blame. I'm half Polish, and I think, and it's pardon? Oh, nice. And it's I think it's offensive when people go on about Eastern Europeans are taking our jobs, and you might not think that is racist because. You might not be able to tell I'm Polish, but immigration has had a major impact, and I think we need to look at the broader issues as to why people are becoming racist.
So how do we tackle these broader issues? And yes, this lady's very keen.
I think that, personally, racism is becoming, it's more of a matter of upbringing. Just like the gentleman over there, if everyone was going to have the same frame of mind as you, then the whole country was going to be racist. People bring up the children saying that when people move into this country from different countries, they steal our jobs, they steal our money. Well, they don't, because they're trying to make the country more diverse. Can I speak? So then,
I'm not against immigration.
We're talking about the wider issues now.
Everyone's still yet to tell me why I'm an extremist and why I'm racist. Please tell me what I've said. This is the problem. Anyone with a different opinion.
I'm saying that it's an upbringing. It's a matter of upbringing.
I had a great upbringing, a perfect upbringing. Prior to the English Defence League, I had my own business, 2 businesses, one turnover £300,000 a year.
I don't care about your history.
So this is not to do with people being on poverty lines. This is to do with serious issues within our community with militant Islam, extremist Islam. As soon as you talk about it, everyone says you're racist.
I'd like to speak to this lady here, please.
You bring your agenda actually today. Well, my question is, what we say, like, can we say what the problem about what people when they see women wearing scarf? Is that something when they behave with her racism? Is that something coming about economy issue? I don't think so.
Well, I have no problem with the hijab either.
You have your agenda, you finish it. I don't know if you finish it or yeah. But I'm me from Honolulu Spring. I've been here 2 years. Nobody sits with me in the bus or near than me because I'm wearing scarf. So can you explain for me how you guys what answering for that? Well, you can answer for that. He keeping talking that they have no racism. But that's not just Islamic for him. You have so much phobia, Islamic phobia,
actually.
You can't
keep saying racist without giving me an explanation.
Listen,
please give me an explanation.
At your rally in Newcastle, you stood next to the organiser while he was chanting,
complete lie.
Send those...
No, complete
and
lie
I can't
again.
say it home.
Complete lie again. No, it's not on YouTube. No, it's not. It's an edited version. You don't see the person on the stage saying it. It's a lie.
So who's saying it?
No one says it. You've read it. Every time someone has their arm up in the air, you say it's a Nazi salute. Please, can someone tell me what we say that is racist?
No one is saying that, by the way.
No, can someone tell me what we say that's racist?
So what you're doing is you're generalising.
We're highlighting truths.
You're generalising.
The truth is not a
about
lie.
a whole race
no, I'm not
of
generalising. No, I'm not.
Just on
I mentioned certain
that's what's racist.
I mentioned a certain sex.
This is exactly what I said at the beginning of the programme. When we deal with racism, rather than dealing with the structural reality and all this nonsense about people are racist because they're frustrated about their life, it's totally classist. What we're saying, only working class people are racist. Do me a favour. Racism was not invented by working class people. It was invented by elite academics through pseudo-scientific nonsense and perpetuated as part of political policy. From the top down, not the bottom up. In fact, if we look back at the history of this country, when there were slave catchers in the streets, people had far more allies in working class parts of London than they did from rich people who were trying to catch them and send them back to the Caribbean. So let's be be honest about the history and deal with the bigger problems of structural racism, because then smaller things and smaller frustrations that are breeding this type of nonsense won't be excavated so much. But this is the problem, is we focus on nonsense like this rather than dealing with why a British soldier you've probably never heard of, a gentleman called Christopher Alder, died in 1999 in police custody. There is footage on YouTube that you can see for yourself of him on the floor with his bottom half exposed, with police officers around him making monkey noises over his dead body. You've never heard his name. Why?
Final thought from you on this, Stephen? Final thought from you. How do we tackle this issue?
Well, I think we have to tackle the issue by actually education at school and at university to encourage people to amalgamate. We have to deal with some of the issues that Mr. Robertson raised, because it is absolutely clear that the Met Police have apologised, that they've not dealt with issues of grooming and things like that because there was a fear. Thankfully, now that is being dealt with. Organisations such as your own have to continue the work that you're doing to tackle those who are also racist within the Islamic community against others, and you're tackling that extremism, and thankfully we are doing that. And so altogether we have to look at the extremism on both sides and bring us together and say we're all people. We're not mixed race, we're not a white race, we're all part of the human race, and that is the most important thing that we should be considering.